Good afternoon to one and all. We, the team of Aussizz Group, welcome you all to the Day 5 Conclave 2023. Today's topic is COVID-40 visa, and our migration presenter, Mr. Smit Patel, is going to take with all of your questions, clear all your doubts, and take on with the session. I would like to welcome Mr. Smit Patel and take forward with this session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Smit Patel, and I'm a registered migration agent from Aussizz Group Sydney. So today we have the topic of COVID visa subclass 408. Now here I'll be explaining the requirement, eligibility, and further condition that are allocated with the visa, and we'll sort out your questions by the end of the presentation. Feel free to drop down your questions, and once the presentation gets complete, I'll be able to answer most of the questions. If not, feel free to email me your questions and I'll be happy to assist you. During at the end of the PPT, there may have been few questions that I may not be able to answer, or I need to do more research on that. Please feel free to email me that as well, and I'll research and I'll give you the the best possible answer for you. So we'll start with the presentation. I'm gonna share my screen. So with today's topic, subclass 408 temporary activity COVID pandemic event. Now with the introduction of COVID pandemic, there have been a lot of with the COVID coming in, there were very bad news for Australian immigrants that they had to leave the country because they were not eligible for few visas, and they were unable to apply for it. And for that reason, department introduced the COVID pandemic visa, where the applicant were allowed to apply for COVID pandemic, and they were able to stay lawfully in Australia, and can do full-time work while holding the 408 visa. Now the introduction is that this is the temporary visa which let you stay in Australia to work if you're employed, or even if you are offer of employment in any sector of the economy, you can stay in Australia and apply, work for 1 year. Now for COVID visa, what are the requirements? The basic requirement is you should hold a substantive visa with a work rights that is going to expire within 90 days or has already expired in 28 days before 28 days. So if you're currently holding a visa that is about to expire within 90 days of time, you can apply for a COVID visa. Or if your visa has already expired and it has been under the 28 days, within the 28 days of time, you can apply for COVID visa. For this visa, you need to show the ongoing employment or an offer of employment to remain in Australia. Now, many would have the question that, does it require sponsorship for employment? The answer is no. You don't require any actual sponsorship, but you need to show to the department that you are actually employed and you are working in any sector, but you need to be employed. Coming further down, who can apply for this visa? Applicant who is in Australia, who is again that I just mentioned that you are holding a substantive visa that is expiring in 90 days, or your visa is already expired 28 days ago or less. The important condition is you must have successfully complied with the condition of your last visa. Now coming on to the eligibility. Eligibility of the visa is that you need to have a substantive visa with the work rights. You need to be able to support yourself and any dependents if you have any. So with the COVID visa, department usually asks for the financials, and the financial you need to show them that okay, you are able to support yourself, and you have an ongoing employment, you have enough savings in your bank account that will showcase that you are able to support yourself during the entire COVID pandemic duration. Now, earlier the requirement was you need to meet the health requirement. Now, department has, because of a lot of application, are going through the department. Department decided to remove the medical health requirement for the applicants who are lodging the application onshore. However, this condition is still applies if you are lodging any application, any temporary visa application from offshore. You or your partner needs to complete the medical examination. As you have, while holding 485, you must be, you must meet the maintain adequate health insurance, overseas visitor health insurance. The same way, during the 408, for entire duration, you have to make sure that you need to hold overseas visitor health insurance cover. Now, that is the mandatory condition that attests to the visa. So make sure that your your health insurance is active and is with the complied with the condition. Now we had few clients where they did not, usually it's on a monthly basis payment. Now we had client who did not renew their overseas visitor health insurance cover, and they did not have the insurance for certain period of months. So now that is a breaching of the visa condition. So if you are holding a 408 visa, make sure that you you are holding an adequate health insurance. For 408, you also need to show a genuine temporary entrant. Now, many people would say that that's for student visa or a visitor visa. However, you still need to show that you are applying this temporary visa for a temporary basis. You are not planning to stay in Australia for a permanent basis. Department may check your immigration history, your compliance with your past visa condition, any another relevant matters. So, character or health requirements, not had any visa cancelled or refused before, or any you are not owing any debt to the Australian government. So these are the few criteria that you need to meet while applying 408 visa. This visa looks very simple, but there are many if and buts when it comes to the actual scenario. There has been many cases where people have not complied with the previous visa condition that may impact on the on 408 or any other visa which you are applying in for a future purpose. So while you are in Australia and you are applying for any visa, make sure that you are complying to that visa condition attached to the visa grant. That is the most important criteria for to apply for another visa. Now, if you are currently holding a 408 COVID pandemic visa, which you already applied before, and now it's about to expire, and you are, you want to reapply, you may get eligible if your visa is about to again within the 90 days of time, and you wish to remain in Australia and wish to continue your full-time work. But there are some cases where you are not eligible to apply for 408, and which are those cases? If you have come on a visitor visa on or after 21st February 2022, and if you are not holding work rights, you should look for any other visa options, because for 408 you should hold a substantive visa, but that with work rights. So if you are holding visitor visa that comes with no work rights, then you need to arrange any other visa options. You look for any other visa options, or make an arrangement to return to your home country. Now, earlier, if you are apply on or after 21st February 2022. So earlier what happened is the department has actually introduced this COVID pandemic visa because applicants were unable to travel offshore because of COVID restrictions, and they were unable to depart to their home country. And because of that reason, they actually introduced this visa. However, the COVID pandemic has ended, and now because of COVID, the Australian economy were down, and to recover those Australian economy, they introduced that you are still be able to apply, but not under COVID, unable to depart from Australia, but under the COVID-19 economic recovery plans. So the department has actually gone through a very thorough, and they actually thought that, okay, yes, this visa will allow applicants to be in Australia. And for that reason, you will be able to work, and you will be able to, that will help them to recover their economy. Now, if you want to include your family member. Earlier, when you apply for 408, there were no options of applying a subsequent end-to-end application separately. If you are married, you are not able to get your partner in Australia on 408 visa, but department has now introduced new legislation into that as well. And that will allow you to include your family partner, a family member, such as partner or your child, into the COVID visa application. If you are married while holding COVID visa, you'll still be able to apply a separate application for a subsequent entrant. Now we just had a case where client got their 408 visa and they heard before that you cannot add your partner or you cannot apply for subsequent entrant. And when this got introduced, they were actually able to apply for subsequent entrant, and we actually were able to get the visa grant for them. And the partner was in Australia. Right now, she is currently in Australia. Now, family member who applies with you, they need to make sure that they meet health and character requirement. Now, if your partner is in overseas and you are applying for COVID entrant, subsequent entrant visa, they need to meet health requirement as well. They need to undergo medical health requirement, meet their character requirements. Department may request for PCC, overseas PCC. So be aware of that. If you're applying, I would advise that you should request for PCC beforehand, so that you are not you do not delay your visa grant. Now, for the primary applicant who are applying onshore application, yes, the visa is the amount. The visa application charge is nil, so you do not pay for visa application charge. However, if you're applying for subsequent entrant application, the application cost involves, and you need to pay those visa application charges. If you apply COVID visa when you are in Australia, you are being granted with either bridging visa A, if you are currently holding a substantive visa when you apply for COVID visa, or bridging visa C if you are not holding a substantive visa when you applied. Your bridging visa main will come into effect if you're holding a substantive visa. Your bridging visa A will not get active until your current substantive visa gets ceased, or your or your 408 gets granted. So if after the lodgement, if your bridging visa A shows that it's inactive, don't get tense. It because you are currently holding a substantive visa. And if you are being granted bridging visa A, you still have to meet the condition of your current substantive visa. So for example, if you are currently holding a student visa and if you have applied for subclass 408 COVID visa, you have been granted with bridging visa A, that is inactive. Till the time of your grant or till the time your student visa get expired, you have to make sure that you meet the condition of student visa. So whatever the condition, if you are working full time, you cannot basically on student visa till 30th of June, you are able to work full time. So from tomorrow onwards, you will not be able to work full time and you will have to meet the condition of student visa. So while on that visa, if you are waiting for 408, you have to meet those conditions. Secondly, what happens after you lodge COVID pandemic visa? Earlier, when you lodge a COVID pandemic, the priority of getting the grants and application processing were given to the applicants who are actually working under critical sector. So for example, nursing, hospitality, aged care, those sectors were being able to get the priority and get their visa finalized very soon. And for the other applicants who are working in the remaining sectors of the industry, the application was taking a lot of time to process, sometimes 6 months, sometimes 8 months, sometimes 9 months. But now most of the applications are getting finalized within 3 to 4 weeks. We have seen many grants within 24 to 48 hours as well. So right now, department is not taking a lot of time for granting the 408 visa. Yes, if you're applied for subsequent entrant, yes, they may take some time because there are requirement of health examination and everything. But as the If you are applied onshore, you do not have to meet the medical assessment and requirement. So the grants are coming pretty quickly. At the time you lodge your application, you again, so once you after you lodge it, you get the bridging visa, whether it's inactive or active, depending on which visa, if you are holding substantive visa or not. So the bridging visa will maintain your lawful status in Australia, basically, until any decision on 408 visa application is been finalized. You can reside in Australia lawfully. Now, again, so medical, does it require medical examination? The answer is no. So for all temporary visas, for certain temporary visas, I would say, medical requirement has been waived off by the department until further notice. So as of now, you do not require to undergo medical examination if you have lodged the application onshore. Now, the best arrangement till now for all the migrants is transitional arrangement. Now, many people are having the doubts of how will you be able to get 2 years of 408, or will you be able to eligible for 485? Here are the certain criteria for that. So if you are currently holding temporary graduate visa, that is 485, you are in Australia, you can apply for pandemic event for 2 years of period of stay. If you are not, instead of temporary graduate visa extension, so there is another arrangements coming in from 1st of July, which is temporary graduate visa extension for those who are whose qualification fall into that particular list. They will be able to get further 2 years of visa on top of their 485. But what if you have not completed the eligible qualification? What if you are not eligible for that visa? Then department has given a thought on that, and they have introduced this transitional arrangement for those applicants. Now, if you're currently holding 485 and it's going to expire before 1st of July 2023, and you are not eligible to apply for temporary graduate visa extension on 1st of July 2023, or you are currently having an unfinalized 408 visa application, which you have already lodged, and you're currently holding temporary graduate visa, that is 485, then you are eligible for 2 years of visa grant. Now, there has been many cases we have been able to get 2 years of visa grant for those applicants whose visa were actually completing after 1st July 2023. So if you are looking to get 2 years of visa, even if your 485 is expiring after 1st July 2023, feel free to contact us and we'll be able to assist you to help you get your 2 years of 408. So in that case, you are not losing any duration on 408, and you will be able to meet, you'll be able to stay in Australia and continue your work and meet the other eligible criteria for other visas. Again, if you are applying for 408, you have to make sure that you are in Australia and you have a job offer of employment, or you are currently employed, whether it's part-time or full-time, that's fine, but you should be working during the duration of 408. So again, this one time frame to get the grant. Earlier it was 6 to 8 months visa grant. They were taking 6 to 8 months of time frame to grant the visa for 408, and right now they are taking 3 to 4 weeks of time. Not more than that. Now if you are holding a student visa or any other temporary visa, you may get eligible to apply for 408 if you want to work full time, and if you want to full-time work rights, if your employer is looking to give you full-time work hours, yes, you can apply for 408, but that visa will only be up to 12 months. You won't be able to get more than 12 months if you are not holding a 485 visa, that is temporary graduate visa. However, again, like I mentioned, if you are holding 485, we can apply for 2 years of visa grant for you. Now, we have been receiving a lot of questions on visa condition 8107. And what is that? So if you look at your 408 visa condition, the visa condition says that if you are changing your employer, first of all, you cannot change your employer. And if you are changing your employer, you have to inform the department even after the grant. Now, department has given relaxation on visa condition 8107. And what's that? So temporarily, they have implemented a less restrictive policy, which allow them, which allow the applicant to change their employer. Earlier they were not allowing to be a self-employed, but now department is actually allowed to be self-employed. You can change employer without even informing the department after the grant. However, if you are changing your employer while your application is in progress, you will still need to inform the department. If you need to continue work while await your visa outcome, you cannot just stop working before the grant of visa. After the grant as well, you cannot stop working, but before the grant, if you stop working and if department get the information, they will surely refuse the application, because the only requirement is that you should be employed while holding this 408 visa. If you are no longer working, if you do not have any employment, I would advise you that to find an employment as soon as possible, because this visa condition, they have provided relaxation on the condition of 8107, that is without informing you can change it, but you cannot be unemployed for longer period of time. And also you can work for more than one employer at the same time on COVID visa. So there were many doubts coming. There were many consultations we had. Their applicant had a doubt that whether they can change employer. They were afraid of changing their employer while holding 408. So here's the answer that yes, you can, until and unless the policy they have provided is relaxed. And if they remove this restrictive policy again, you have to meet that condition back again. So always keep an updated with the 408 condition. Now, while holding 408, what an applicant can do? So you can work full time, of course, and work full time and make the pathway for your permanent residency. Now, many visa applicant had that they have been invited, but the nomination is taking a lot of time, and their visa is about to expire as well. In that case, you can apply for 408 visa, so that it allows you to buy some time and apply for your permanent residency. We recently had a client where they were able to meet the requirement for 482 or 186, which is employer sponsor visa, but they were lacking with 1 or 2 months of the requirement of working 2 years full time or 3 years full time. So actually, what we did, we applied for 408 visa. And on 408 visa, they were able to work full time and meet the requirement for 482 and 186. And after once they met the requirement, we applied for employer sponsor visa for them. So it's a very good visa, possible visa for right now. If you are not meeting the requirement for any other visa, it's a very good option for that. So, example, if you are working in hospitality industries and want to meet the full-time work experience requirement, this is the time. So on 408 visa, you can study full-time, and on 408, you can apply, if your current application is not finalized, you can apply for bridging visa B to travel offshore. Now, earlier when department introduced 408, they were actually they were not allowing to travel offshore because you provided the reason that you are unable to depart from Australia. And again, if department see that you want to travel back home, then why did you apply for 408? But currently, department is allowed to apply for bridging visa B, and you can travel offshore while your application is in progress. But you have to make sure that your employment is ongoing and you are not being retained from your employment. So the final question, there are many buzz going around that whether this 408 will be will be there after 1st of July or not. So the answer is no one knows about that, first of all. So Department has not actually informed anything about whether the 408 will be active after 1st of July or not, but there maybe have chance or no, but we will always get to know after the department announce their legislative instrument, or they announce that, okay, 408 is active or not active after 1st of July. So if you are looking to apply for 408, and if your visa is expiring within 90 days of time, today is the time. If you think that you are eligible, you can contact us and we will be able to assist you further with that. Now we will take some of the questions and see that we'll be able to answer that. So Faisal has a question. My visa 408 expiring on 1st December 2023. When can I apply second COVID visa? Is it in September? So Faisal, like I mentioned, that your visa should be expiring within 90 days of time. Now, till that time, if COVID visa is active or department has not taken out COVID visa, yes, you will be able to apply for second 408, provided the requirement will be similar by the time by September or October. Date we know will stop. Again, Faisal is asking that is there any date we know COVID visa will stop any soon? So department has not actually announced that COVID visa will gonna end pretty soon or no. So we are still waiting from the department side. Once we get the any announcement from the department, we'll surely update on our social media pages. So if you're not following, or if you are yet to follow our Instagram and Facebook page, we would advise that you follow, because we always update the updated requirements straight away as soon as the departments announce that. So another question, Grace is asking, there was sponsorship application number ID. When I applied for COVID 408 visa, there was sponsorship application ID number or sponsorship application transaction reference number section, where I can get those numbers if currently I will graduate soon and not working. How can I apply for this 408 visa without sponsorship? Is there any fee for this visa? So when you applied for 408, for these numbers, Grace, I recommend that you might have to look for your visa grant or your acknowledgement letter. When you applied for this visa, you must have received the acknowledgement letter from the department itself. On that acknowledgement letter, you would find transaction reference number and application ID. If currently I'll graduate soon and not working, if you are not working, you cannot apply for 408 visa, unfortunately. If you find an employment, even just a job offer on that basis, and your visa is about to expire, then on that basis, yes, you can apply for 408. But until you find your employment or even a job offer, you cannot apply for 408. I hope you understood this. Now Laura is asking, my visa expires 25th September. I can apply already, but I would like to wait to not lose 3 months. Are there any still no news from the department? Yes, like I mentioned, no news from the department. You can follow us on social media. We will update soon on that. So we can apply. So Suranjana is asking, so we can apply for extension of 408 visa 90 days before it is expiring. Is that correct? Yes. So if it's expiring within under the 90 days of time, you can apply for an extension of so you can reapply basically 408 visa. And if I got the 408 visa for 1 year after my student visa, and it's expiring in March 2024, is it possible to apply for extension of this visa? Now, if your current visa is expiring in March 2024, and if you have to reapply for 408, we will have to wait. We will have to wait for the department to announce that 408 will be active by that time. If 408 will be active, provided that you meet all other eligibility criteria and the criteria will be similar by that time, you will be able to apply for second COVID visa. I think we have answered all the questions. Feel free, guys, if you have any further questions, and I'll be happy to assist you further. So meanwhile, I'll tell you one more of the case scenario where we were applicant was interested in was on a student visa, and they wanted their visa was expiring within 2 days of time. Now, with that, applicant did not completed his subject qualification, and she wanted to actually apply complete her qualification. At the same time, she wanted to she didn't want to apply for student visa again. So what we actually did was we applied for COVID visa, as the visa was expiring soon. And on COVID visa, she was able to complete her remaining studies, and she completed within the required time frame of within 1 or 2 months of after she held the student visa. So in that case, she was eligible for 485 as well. So if you think that, okay, you do not want to apply for student visa again or any other scenarios, you can feel free to discuss with Aussizz Group, and we will be able to assist you further. So we have received one question that how do I know if my visa has been granted with work rights? So basically, when your visa is being granted, you would have the visa letter with you on email. On that, you would see the visa condition. On visa condition, the department writes that you have work rights, you have limited work rights, you have no work rights. So by that way, you will be able to find that, okay, you have work rights or not on your visa. Now, Mohsin is asking, if you apply 408 visa with all the proper documents, is there a guarantee that we will get 408 visa, or there is a chances rejection as well? Now, with this question, I would say that if you apply with the proper documents, if you have complied with the previous visa condition, I don't see any restrictions that can stop you from getting 408 visa. However, there are some things that we may need to aware of, that while assessing the case, we always look into it, such as any criminal history, character requirements, previous visa condition, obligation. If you have not met the requirement, you did not held overseas visitor health cover during your previous visa. So these are the things which you may forget while applying 408, but these are the things which actually affect your current visa, or in future, if you're applying any further applications, that may impact on. So if you have a proper documents, and if you think that you are eligible, you meet the eligibility criteria, then I don't think anything is restricting you from getting the visa grant. And so do not wait around to get an announcement from the department. If you think that if you are eligible for 408 and you can and you don't want to wait for 485 extension for 2 months of 2 months to save time on the visa, apply it today, or feel free to contact us that we can assist you to apply your 408 today itself, because you never know, the department may release and may announce anytime soon that COVID visa may or may not active after this particular date. So make sure you do not wait around for the announcement. We have received a question that my current work visa is soon to expire or already expired. Should I apply for 408? Now, again, if your work visa is expiring soon, then within 90 days again, then you can apply for 408, provided that you have a job offer or you are working already. If you're working, then yes, you can apply for 408 pandemic visa. Then I would advise you to apply today itself. And if your visa is already expired, then you have to see that it has not, the last substantive visa you held was within 28 days of time frame. If yes, then again, you can apply for 408. I recently completed my studies in bachelor's and I'm on 408 visa expiring in March. If I'm planning to study further in diploma, master's, doctoral degree in 2024 or 2025, going back to student visa, do you recommend applying for 485 now? I'm still eligible because it is within 6 months or later after completing a higher education. What will be better if I want to get a PR in the future? Now, as you have completed bachelor's degree. Now, if you apply for 485, you're gonna get if you have completed the bachelor's degree with that eligible qualification list, you may be eligible for 2 years, or like, so if you have completed from the eligible list, you may get eligible for 4 years. If not from the list, then 2 years of visa grant. Now, if you complete master's degree after getting the student visa and then apply for 485, and you do master's, from the eligible qualification list, which department is going to release after 1st of July, you may get eligible for 5 years of TR, that is 485. So if you are getting 5 years of TR, that means you are getting more time to prepare yourself for a permanent residency. You get a more lawful residency in Australia. So you are not worrying of your visa expiry completing pretty soon, and you are actually focusing on your getting permanent residency. So I would say that if you really want to study further, go for master's degree and study the list, study from the qualification which department will provide after 1st of July, which will help you to get secure your 5 years after even student visa. Mandatory to maintain while you are on a particular visa 𝐦𝐻𝐶. I hope you got some clarity on that. So again, guys, be mindful that if you are on a visitor visa with no work rights, please do not apply for 408 because you are not eligible for that. If you need to look for any other options. If you are a visitor came after 21st February 2022, it's highly recommended to look for any other options, or find maybe make an arrangement to travel back home. Because 408 visa you will not be eligible for that. And if you are currently holding with the work rights, yes, of course, you can go ahead for 408 visa. So there are certain things. There are certain things that you may need to aware while applying for 408 visa. First, set up the proper documents. Second, make sure that you get, if you're working, get a letter from the employer, your payment evidences, your financial records, and also you have to show that you have a sufficient amount in your bank account that you can support yourself while you are for the entire duration of your COVID visa. Another thing, make sure that you buy overseas visitor health cover. Make sure you meet the character requirements. And while filling up the application, make sure you do not provide any false or misleading information to the department. If you provide any false or misleading information to the department, this may result into getting PIC 4020, which is 3 years ban, for Australia. So always make sure while applying for any visa, do not provide false or misleading information to the department. This may lose the credibility in front of department, and you will lose, you will be banned for 3 years. Yes, Surenjana. So basically my contact detail and my email will be shared by end of the session. You can contact me if you have any further queries, and I'll be able to assist you. For bank statement, yes, it's mandatory again to show the financials, and you need to show that okay, you have sufficient amount that you are applying for COVID visa, and while during on a COVID visa you can support yourself. It's not something that you relied on government. So it's mandatory. It's mandatory to provide bank statement and your employment evidence as well, because that will show that you will you are still working or being employed. If you change your employer while being while you are waiting for the 408 application, make sure you update to the department. If you are not holding an employment, if you left the job, you need to find your employment as soon as possible. You cannot wait around and be unemployed on 408. So that could be a risk on your visa application.
Are there any questions from the participants so that we can end the session?
There is no such amount mentioned by the department as far as the showing the amount is concerned, but at least you should be earning, and along with that you have a savings that shows that okay, yes, you have ongoing funds coming from your employer, and you have savings. So that basically shows that you have sufficient amount to support yourself. But there is no particular amount that has been mentioned by the Department of Home Affairs for this. So again, guys, just reminding, today could be the last day, could be not, but do not wait around just to hear the announcement from the department. If you think you are eligible, make sure you apply 408 visa today, or you can contact nearby office and our agents will be able to assist you further for 408 visa. So we have a question that for 485, after doing a bachelor's, doing 1.5 years diploma registered under CRI course versus doing 2 years master degree, does this give different amount of years when granted 485? Yes, of course, because if you complete master's degree, you are eligible for 3 years or 5 years, depending on what qualification you have completed. If you do diploma, then you have to make sure that so earlier, before 1st of July, there were no requirements for skill assessment. For 1 year, they provided relaxation to provide skill assessment under graduate stream. So if you do diploma or certificate level courses, then you fall under 485 graduate stream. And if you complete bachelor's degree or higher, you fall into post-Australian study work stream. And post-Australian study work stream allows you to stay more because the visa duration is comparatively higher than the graduate work stream. So if you complete master's, yes, it of course affects, and you may get eligible for 3 or 5 years of visa, depending on your qualification.
We hope that we have answered all your questions, and thank you very much to our migration presenter, Mr. Smit Patel, for such a great session. And thank you, participants, for involving in it. If we have any questions, we are just open for 5 minutes. We can ask it.
So what if we did, so we have one question. What if we did our bachelor's plus additional of diploma? Again, that would be considered on a bachelor's degree. So again, Sanjana, what I would advise that if you're looking for 485, because we need to look on the CRI course, how many CRI course weeks you have completed and what sort of diploma you have completed. So if you have completed bachelor's and diploma, you will be eligible for, you may get eligible for post-Australian study work stream as you have completed bachelor's degree, but still we have to look when did you complete your bachelor's and when did you complete your diploma. So I would advise that if you are looking to get the further information on 485, I would be able to assist you further. So contact me, and once we look into the documents, we'll be able to identify what category you fall into for 485.
Thank you very much. We end this session over here. Thank you, Mr. Smit Patel, for such a great session. And we would like to look forward for the participants to contact us. The contact details are given in the chat. This would be the last question which Mr. Smit Patel would address it, and we would end the session. Thank you very much.
So the last question which we have received, that who will lodge this visa, company or ourselves? So basically for 408, company do not lodge. Again, like I mentioned that, for 408, you do not require sponsorship from the company. And you just so you will be lodging the visa application, and you do not actually require sponsorship to be approved from the department. You just require the required documentation from your employer. So such as payment evidences and other relevant letter from support from your employer, and other mandatory requirements. And once you get those documents, you may get eligible to apply. You may apply for 408 visa. So thank you guys. Thank you for your time. And so are we closing the meeting? So I hope you have received all your queries. We have answered your queries. If you have any further queries, feel free to contact us and we'll be able to assist you further. Just, again, please do not wait around for any further announcement from the department. Please apply as soon as if you think you are eligible for it. Thank you. So going, so Amaya, we have received the one question that where are we based? So our office is based in Sydney. We have 3 branches, Sydney, Parramatta, and Bankstown. You can contact us, and our migration agents will be able to assist you further.
For more details, contact in the chat section given below, the email IDs and the contact us group. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, participants. Have a good day.